So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna attempt to release the tension under the spring cups, and then I'm gonna get the spring cups out. Once the spring cups are out, the firing pin spring will come right off, and then I'll be able to take the spacer sleeve off. All right. So we're just gonna pull down a little bit. There's one, and there's two. All right. So the spring cups are off now. Here's our firing pin spring. And just like that, we've successfully taken apart our firing pin assembly. Okay, here's our spacer sleeve. And I've also placed a little piece of tape around the spacer sleeve, as you may have noticed. And this is the new spacer sleeve, and I've already inserted the firing pin, as you can see. And we're going to use these tools just to help make it a little easier to put the spring cups in, okay? So let's go ahead and place the firing pin spring inside. Alright, now that that's lowered there, we're going to grab our first spring cup, place it there, grab our second spring cup, alright, and we have put together our firing pin assembly. Okay guys, so now we are done with the slide portion of our refresh. So we're going to go ahead and put everything back together now. I'm going to start by putting in the firing pin safety. Next thing, we're going to put in our extractor. Now as we're putting in our extractor, we're going to put some pressure on the firing pin safety, and it'll just naturally just slide right in on its own. And now that's in there. We're going to go ahead and put in our plunger now. Okay. Next thing is our firing pin assembly. Alright. And now we're going to go ahead and throw on the back plate, in which we are going to enlist the help of our Glock tool. Put some pressure down on the spacer sleeve. That goes right in there. Now a little pressure on the plunger. And our slide is back together. Now we just put in our barrel and our recoil spring, our new recoil spring. And we are halfway done, guys. Okay guys, so now we're going to start working with our slide. This is going to basically involve doing a detail strip of the slide as well. So we're going to start with that. First thing we're going to have to do is take the locking block pin off. And this happens to be a 1-pin model. So all we're going to do is use our Glock tool, and we're going to put a little pressure on the locking block pin, while at the same time just wiggling the slide stop lever a little bit until it releases. Okay. So once that releases, your locking block pin comes out, and since this is a Generation 2 gun and only has 1 pin, then your slide stop lever also comes right out. Okay. Alright, next thing we're going to do is take out our locking block. Alright, now I'm going to take the trigger housing pin out. Okay. And now we're going to grab the gun by the ejector over here, and we're just going to pull out the entire trigger assembly. Alright. So now this gun is detail stripped, short of actually taking apart the trigger assembly. Okay? Okay guys, we've reached the point where we're now going to replace our trigger spring. And how that's going to be done is, you want to grab on the entire assembly. You want to separate the trigger bar from the trigger mechanism housing, okay? So what you're going to do, you're going to grab the trigger bar, pull it forward, and at the same time you're going to just pull it out to the side. Okay, now here is your trigger spring, and what it is, there's a little hole on both the trigger housing, the mechanism housing, and the trigger bar, which is what connects the trigger spring, and you get the tension from your trigger. Okay, what you want to do is you're going to pull off, trying to get into a thin spot, just pull it off, and the same thing with the housing, you're just going to pull that right off. Okay, now here's the old one, we're going to put that off to the side. And when you're putting the new spring on, what you want to do, it has to you have to envision an S, okay? That's what the new spring should look like from front to back when you're installing it brand new, okay? So go ahead and put the spring onto the housing, okay? Alright, so that's on. And now we're going to grab our trigger bar, okay? Okay, and now it's installed, guys. All right, the spring is now installed. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna basically put it on attach the trigger bar to the housing the same way we took it off, by holding it out to the side, pulling it in, pulling it forward a little. I'm sorry, and just reattaching it, and that is back on. All right, same as new. Okay, so now that this is in, let's start putting our frame back together. Alright guys, so here is our frame and all of its internal parts, and we're going to start putting everything back together, starting with our trigger assembly. Just going to drop that right in. Alright, I'm going to grab the trigger housing pin, slide that in. Go ahead and grab our Glock tool for a little assistance. Alright, that evens out. Alright, next thing we're going to do, we're going to drop our locking block in. Okay. Alright, now the next thing we have to do is drop our new slide lock lever into the gun, all right, with the new spring. Okay, so let's go ahead and start on that. All right, now what you want to do with this is you want to kind of throw it in between the actual frame itself and the left side of the actual trigger. Okay, so you throw it in there. And as you're throwing it in there, you want to make sure that if you're looking through the locking block, the hole for the locking block pin, try to center it in there so that the pin goes in with the least amount of resistance as possible. Now, as you're throwing the pin in, you want to put it in from left to right. So grab the pin. All right, and now that is in there. Okay, we're just going to enlist the use of our Glock tool just to make sure it snaps in there real good. Alright. Alright, and that is snapped in there. And our new slide stop lever extended is now installed. Okay, so now I'm going to grab the gun and we're going to put it together. Let's do some function testing. Alright, you guys hear that? That means we have done a successful job of installing and refreshing our handgun. So now this gun is ready for action. Alright guys, well, that's going to be about it from me. Leave any comments, questions, anything, and I will do my best to answer them. And this is my new old Glock 19. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And this is Glocky signing out. I will see you guys later.